going on, fellas? Ethan here, also known as the Valley Sense Lightner. Welcome back to my channel. If you've seen before, welcome back. If you guys are new, welcome to my channel. So, tonight we're going to be discussing what are the differences between using a spirit box device that's a hardware and using a ghost app from your phone to do paranormal investigations. So, what are the differences? Because we've seen in paranormal shows that people use spirit boxes to get spirit answers from spirits that are in a haunted location that you are now in. And other times from YouTube videos, you'll also see people using ghost apps to get spirit response as well. So obviously, there's no one really talking about the differences. So I'm gonna give you my pros and cons. Even though I haven't done paranormal investigation myself, I have done some channeling from my spirit team to tell me what are the differences between the two, like for using either one. So we'll start off with the spirit box. Now, I'm very aware that there are several different model variations of spirit boxes. Like, this is crazy though. There's many different ones, and they behave similarly, but they're still a radio box. Anyway, going off with the pros. So the one pro I am aware of is that you can actually hear spirit voices much better than on the phone. Because, you know, if you ever played with the radio before, obviously you know how loud that speaker is. So if you're in the car, if you have your radio on, or if you have your music, obviously you're going to hear how loud that thing is. So that's one thing that's a pro about the Spirit Box device. So you'll hear spirit voices much better because obviously they use their own energy to kind of manipulate the frequency from the radio, whatever that's talking through, and they're just kind of like speaking through that's not totally normal for a radio to do. Or they'll use the white noise from your radio box to give you a message. So either way, you'll still get much clearer responses than on the phone. The second thing that's very nice from a spirit box is that it lasts much longer. Now, I'm fully aware of that. Both a phone and a spirit box, they use batteries. They both use batteries. But the differences is that from a spirit box, when you're using batteries, the radio box is not really doing too much. It's just running through its own radio. Like, nothing much to it though, because there's nothing much demanding, and it's going to last much longer than a phone. But yeah, so much better battery life because it doesn't have to do too much. So all you're doing is just tinkering in things like that, and it might be a little consuming on the power, but not as much as you would think. Now for the cons. So now I may have mentioned that that a radio is much louder than a phone, but here's the thing, fellas. If a spirit speaks through, you better be sure you're paying attention because once they say it though, you better make sure that you hear it clearly because sometimes you won't even tell what the spirit just said to you. I mean, you might hear it, but you gotta be prepared because you don't have, any words displayed on your radio box because a radio is just gonna say things, so you're not gonna be able to see words from it. So that's one drawback from this. And the second con that's probably unfortunate is that from using a spirit box, it's very advanced in a way, so you're going to have to learn how to tinker the radio itself because it's a radio box. So you need to kind of like press some buttons, do some tinkering to get whatever is the best way to get spirit responses. But the preferences are on your own, so you have to think about what settings should I use because there are a couple of settings you can use to get better spirit responses. But like I said, it's just preference, so it all depends on you. Enough of all that from the spirit box side. Now let's go over to the pros for using a phone, which is using a Ghost app. So one pro is that obviously it's easy to use because you hardly have to do anything with it, because once you're on the app, I mean, you just let them, you just let the spirit just do whatever they can to kind of like give you a message. And obviously the app will have word banks for you. So whatever the word banks are, spirits will use that energy to kind of tell you something, what they want to tell you. In fact, another pro thing, it's kind of sort of a pro thing, but people who have phones, though, obviously, you guys don't have to deal with, you don't have to deal with the spirit box if you guys don't want to go that far on tinkering a radio box. So that's another thing. Now let's go over the cons of using a ghost app. So remember that how I mentioned to you guys that, both a spirit box hardware device and a phone both have batteries in them. They both have batteries. But the biggest drawback of using a ghost app on your phone is that it is using a lot of power, because obviously your phone screen is lit up, and depending on the brightness, whatever, you're still using it, and that's consuming a lot more power, far much more than a spirit box, because the spirit box doesn't do that much. It's just scanning through frequency. But a ghost app from your phone, while using your phone, essentially, you're going to be draining it because you're just looking at your phone sometimes, and then you're just leaving your screen on. You're burning energy from your power battery. So yeah, that's one of the drawbacks. So I mean, depending if you guys have a pro phone, like I have a pro phone, I mean, your battery capacity might be efficient, but you're still gonna be draining because you're still using your screen. But you have to live with that. So with that, let's go with the next con for using your phone with the Ghost app, is that the audio itself, it's not going to be as great and clear as a spirit box. I mean, the audio is good enough in a sense, but depending on what app you use, either one with full of word banks, that's alright. But if you have one that doesn't show any words, I mean, just be mindful that your audio, it's gonna be fine, but if you didn't hear it though, I mean, that's on you. Same thing where, you know, you heard a spirit box say something though. I mean, if you didn't hear it, I mean, that's on you still. So that's the second con for using a ghost app on your phone. Now, the last con I can think of, and this is something that I did not know about, and I don't know if people know this, but I don't think many don't know about, is that using a ghost app from your phone can actually create a spirit portal. Now, let's not panic here. I do want to make this clear that there is something else that's not talked about, and I'm going to explain as much as I can, but there's something else with this topic that's very complex, which that's going to be for another topic for another day. So, your phone has a mirror on it, because your screen is essentially a mirror, and mirrors can actually be used as a spiritual gateway, which this is talked about before, and like I said, it's too complex for me to talk about, and even if I knew about it, it'll take a bit longer for me to explain for all this stuff. So, but there is a chance that you can create a portal from your phone, a spiritual gateway, because like I said, your phone, your screen itself can reflect, and you can kind of see where you're at though, without even using your camera. But obviously, the chances are of creating a spiritual portal is very low from what I've heard from my spirit team. But the way how it'll be created or manifested in a sense is that if you set your intentions of creating one, but obviously you guys won't do that because you don't want to have any more trouble than you should be getting. So there's that. But it doesn't happen very often, but just be mindful that your phone screen itself is a mirror and it can create a spiritual doorway. But as long as you set your intentions that you just want to have a clear and smooth spiritual communication during an paranormal investigation, that's all that matters. And you'll be completely fine though. And obviously you won't have too much trouble, depending on what on location you have. So there's that. Hopefully you guys found this very informative on both pros and cons of using a spirit box and using a ghost app for your phone. So this is all just for, paranormal education in a sense of what you'll be using and what you should be prepared if you're going to be using a spirit box or using your ghost app for your phone. Well, luck to all of you guys, and as always, stay shine out there. I'll see you guys next time.